Right, so in our study, we used a rat model of early life environmental exposure to BPA. And then we waited a long time after the exposure and we looked at the livers in adult rats and we did a global analysis of gene expression. And what we found was that the genes that were increased in expression were actually related to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And so what we saw was that this early life exposure actually had an impact on genes that are related to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Right, so the actual impact that we saw was an increase, so a turning on of the genes that are related to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And so we think that this turning on of these genes actually increases the susceptibility of the rodents to the disease. BPA exposure is ubiquitous, and so it's an industrial chemical that is produced in large volumes within the United States, and it's used as a plasticizer. So it's used in manufacturing, it's used in the food industry for bottles and cans, and it's also used in the toy industry. And so studies have estimated that approximately 93% of Americans have measurable levels of BPA in their urine. And so we're exposed to it all the time. The good news is that adults can actually metabolize or break down BPA pretty quickly. And so within 6 hours, we can metabolize BPA. And so as long as we're not constantly bombarded with BPA, we can pretty much clear it out of our bodies efficiently. But the problem comes in early life because infants and developing babies don't have the enzyme to metabolize BPA. And so BPA sticks around in the system for much longer. So that's really the million-dollar question right now in environmental studies. So as I mentioned, since the exposures are ubiquitous, it's a little bit hard to prevent them. But we can try to prevent them, especially so just changing some of our lifestyle choices, like using glass bottles instead of plastic bottles and things like that, especially for earlier life. So especially for your children, being cognizant of which toys may have BPA and which products may have BPA and trying to minimize the exposure. So that's step one, what the actual patient can do. And then as a healthcare professional, since we know that these exposures can now lead to a variety of different diseases, and not just liver disease, the healthcare professional can be cognizant and aware and help inform their patients as to what steps they can take.